Hi there. Just thought I would do a video, and by the start of this video is going to be about perception. You know, the first picture was, I think, the TV, and you know how basically the first picture was indicating how everything comes from your perceptions, and that's why I put that picture on before this picture. Because these videos are like almost like stories. I'm trying to tell a story in these videos, and that's what everything comes from. And this talk is really about that, and it's really about what happened to me in this unexpected spiritual awakening and what happened. And when I got up this morning, I tried doing it yesterday, but this didn't happen. I think there was a knock at the door or something, and but meant to do it today. Excuse me. Must be COVID-19. But yeah, going into this perception, what happened to me in this unexpected spiritual awakening, and why you need that spiritual awakening. And without it, I wouldn't have been on this journey. And what happened to me was I had an unexpected spiritual awakening. I didn't even know what a spiritual awakening was. And then, to cut a long story short, your perception starts changing. It's like you before you were just this. You were like this human biological robot type thing. From Earth. And you were just repeating and not aware. And in that spiritual awakening, it's like you become aware now, self-aware. And you weren't self-aware before. And everything becomes you, because you're now aware of the self. And what the real self is. And you start to see how all is like a mirror. I started going on this journey that everything became a reflection. And you start to become aware, because what's happened is an alignment has taken place between the conscious mind and the subconscious. Everything is within the subconscious. That's why hypnotherapy is a very big thing, and because in hypnotherapy they take you down until you are open in the subconscious, but in spiritual awakening, this is what's happening. So that's why you become a lot more meditative in that spiritual awakening, because it's basically hypnotherapy, and all this information is pouring into you from the subconscious. And yeah, everything, you're now aware that of your subconscious issues. You're now aware that what you're perceiving in others is based on how you perceive yourself. And this is why I know so much about perception. I'm not a trained medical doctor or psychologist, a psychiatrist, or anything like that. I had an unexpected spiritual awakening, and this is what happened. And I started to go on this journey of inner healing. It took a while. It took years because I had to get over depression first, because I was still getting depressed even though when I had the awakening. But the understanding and insight from the awakening showed me the way. And I just try and pass it on. But yeah, that's what everything becomes. And you realize everything is you. And when you realize everything is you, you start tapping into almost like the delicate vortexes that exist everywhere. It's like everywhere there's like vortexes into different dimensions and realities. And in spiritual awakening, this is going on. And like this book at the bottom here, it's like you're tapping into this book, the Akashic Records. And for those of you that don't understand what I'm talking about, everything is just a dream. Like in what Buddhism talks about. Buddhism talks about this, that everything is a dream. And that's what it is. It's not real, because this is another thing that happened in my awakening. I started to go in awakening. It's like you're becoming this obsessed scientist. You're going back and back and back, and you start to be aware that everything has to come from nothing. Meaning, what are you? Meaning that even numbers at some stage, even though, I mean, some numbers can be symbolic of things, but it's still made up. Everything around you, you look around you right now, whatever room or wherever you are, you'll realize that everything in that room or that place that you're at, or all around you, was created by someone else. Right? And this is the truth. And the way perception gets controlled, and this is how I understand about this, because then this is what starts to happen in awakening. You start to be aware that everything else is just made up, and you start to think, who am I? And I started to go on this journey of thinking, who am I really? Because all I was before was this person that was repeating information that was downloaded onto me. And then you're accessing the true self. And the true self, like David Icke says, infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. Love is the only truth to what we are. But regarding of what we think we are, usually before awakening, prior to or before awakening, it's not who we are. It's what other people have suggested to us that we are. See, most things in life are suggested. People are always, this is how society is run. Society is run by suggesting and downloading onto you and imposing onto you beliefs. And then what happens is your psyche then believes that, and that becomes an ego attachment. And then you don't let go of that belief. And then you've got a real problem. Then you're in complete delusion. And this is why it's not that I'm talking down to anyone or I'm big-headed or anything like that. It's nothing like that. Someone that's had a spiritual awakening will understand perception probably more than most psychologists, because a psychologist hasn't went through that awakening yet. They haven't went through that shifting of awareness, of limitless, relentless knowing about things. It's that spiritual awakening that connects you with your divinity, with your divine self. It opens, like I said earlier, it opens your conscious mind with your subconscious mind. So that's why you need that spiritual awakening. And without the spiritual awakening, I wouldn't have even been on this journey. Right? With my perception before the awakening, there's no way I would have been on this path. But back to perception, that is what I started to understand this awakening, and I start to be aware that, and it's true that your perception of yourself determines your perception of others and the world. Right? Now that doesn't mean that when I say something that sounds horrible but it's truthful, that's to do with my perception of me. Sometimes I'm just telling the truth, right? And I'm doing that because the authenticity and truth is the way to heal. It's, and that's it. The world just now needs truth, and that's what I always do. So it might sound horrible, it might sound harsh, but it's the truth. And I'm doing this because of my perception of myself is very different now. I'm trying to give this truth to the world, because that's how I heal, through the truth. Because I started to be very authentic, you could say. And that's how I healed from depression. But yeah, our perceptions of ourselves determines our perceptions of everything else. And you start to realize that once you start to heal yourself, what starts to happen is once you start awakening within and you start healing within, you start changing how you feel and perceive yourself within, and then your perception of the world changes. Like, for example, I would blame my parents, I would blame external things or people for my depression. And in the awakening, all that happened was a perceptual shift, a perceptual change, and then now I don't have any depression. I haven't been depressed since the age of 28. And for people that might say, oh, why is it people that are depressed that a lot of the time have an awakening? Well, it's because sometimes Eckhart Tolle speaks about it. Eckhart Tolle says it, and he's right, that when you are depressed, you're put into a position sometimes where you're forced to be present. And in that presence, that's when the awakening happens. It's at that moment where you decide the outward world is what it is, and it's like you let God lead the way now. Right? It's like God gives us this choice. Of doing what we want, and then when we let go and let God, then we awaken. Now, what is God? God to me is a motherly force that people call Gaia. But it's not just a motherly force. It's like a relationship. It's like there's a divine feminine and divine masculine. And so the motherly force needs the fatherly force also. But the two are a team, like a twin flame relationship. They are oneness, but they are different opposites of the same one. But I'm not going to talk about that just now. I want to talk about perception, back to that. So start to be aware of that. You'll start to, every time you look at you have an opinion about something, start to stop yourself for a minute and be aware of the fact that what you perceive is based on how you perceive yourself. How you feel in this moment determines how you see things. And once you start to pay attention to this, you start to heal your own inner issues. Right? And that's what I says to my mum yesterday, that my mum was talking about Eckhart Tolle, because I watch him, but a lot of the family maybe don't watch him. Was he a medical doctor? Well, I would say to that is that most medical doctors, like I watch a very good doctor on YouTube called Dr. Batar, and he's a very good doctor, and he says that most doctors are brainwashed. The only real doctors, in my opinion, now no doctor healed me, the only doctor, in my opinion, the genuine doctor, is the healers, the people that are healers, and the only true healers are the ones that have healed themselves, and the only ones that have done that are the ones that have spiritually awakened. Now, this apparently happened to Eckhart Tolle as well, and this happened to me, and it's not through me that's going to heal you; it's through yourself. It has to come from within you, right? That's how the healing process starts happening. It happens by you going within, and because it's the within issues that causes the problem. You can take any potion in the world, but there's no magical cures for your inner problems, your inner psychological issues. There's no magical cures for that. I take black seed oil, I take all these different supplements and vitamins, but those things act as a complement to the body, but they don't sort the emotions, the mind. The deep core issues within us is our perceptions, and it starts with ourselves. And if you look at it, our perception of ourselves has been molded since birth. So we are not what we think we are most of the time when we're in this mode. And if you think about it, you'll realize that most people are just programmed and repeating what they have been told all their life that they think they are. They've been told what they are. Right? If an alcoholic was never told they were an alcoholic, would they even perceive that they're an alcoholic? You see? These labels, people make up a name and a label, and then they try to impose it onto you, but understand that we are not that. You are infinite potential. And in this body right now, your infinite potential is just choosing to go through a current experience. And I think I'm just going to end it there, actually, on that note. And if you're watching, you're meant to watch it, make sure to check my website, which is www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you for watching.